Alrighty guys and girls, welcome back to the grand final coverage of the MOL Cybergamer Asia Open Ladder here on Team Down TV. We now have our grand final best of 5 between Team Pratrium and NUMB.
Yes, indeed, our final match, and probably highly anticipated, not just for us, but also these teams getting now towards the end of this tournament, this ladder, of course, and now we're going to be finding out who our champion is very, very soon. Now, fairly standard map picks here as well. Much the same to what we saw in our last best of 5 series. It's going to be Himmelsdorf first up. Then we'll see Ruhenberg, Cliff, Prohorovka, and Mines being played. So the only difference is that Cliff is now in this rotation. And from what I saw, NUMB actually banned Ensk. They didn't want to play Ensk here, so maybe not feeling too confident on that one. Even though they actually got the win against OneBlood on that map, it was a bit messy, safe to say. NUMB are comfortable with the KV5s. They're not. You can see it. Like they only took the one on that Ensk map, and they didn't really favour. Like, when you take KV5s, I mean, you want a fast push, fast cap kind of thing, and you're anticipating a head-to-head clash, and that didn't really happen. So a bit of a weird map, that anyway. So NUMB don't want to play that one. And they also banned Steps as well because historically I don't think they've been very good on that one either. Although I'm pretty sure it used to just be because they never wanted to play PvP Super Friends on it. They just didn't practice it. But nonetheless, we are into the game. Himmelsdorf is our first map. It's going to be same lineups for both teams, 5100s and IS3. So both teams with 3 of the 5100s here. And, well, I want to see what NUMB do this time, because last time we saw them on this map, I don't really know what they were doing. I don't even know if they did. But I'm going to be rolling out myself with the guys from Team Pratrium, who we haven't seen for quite a while. Sam has the boys from NUMB.
I do have NUMB, so we are ready to go here. Let's go 3 5100s, 2 IS3s, and 2 T1s up against, not surprisingly, 3 5100s, 2 IS3s, and 2 T1s. Let's see what NUMB are going to do here in this Northern Spawn, in this very first match in our best of 5 grand final. Looks like we are going to go west. We're going west. All of us except... Okay, that's a lie, not all of us. We're going to leave 2. We're going to leave our IS-3 and a 5100 of Mine That Tank and Prince Machiavelli there on the spawn. And obviously a T1's going to go out, but we're going all the way around to this A1, A2 area. And this is actually looking very familiar, Uber.
Yes, indeed. It looks like a bit of a NUMB push here. Pratrium are putting 3 5100s up towards that hill. And it looks like they're going to try and rotate off there. Very standard lineup here. We've got the 2 IS3s sitting in the windows up on that D line. Now, the question is, do NUMB anticipate this? Do they know that, are they expecting to see this or not? Will their strategy account for this? I don't know. You guys obviously can't see what Pratrium are doing right now, but it's standard. They've got 2 IS3s sitting back, and he's now going to try and take the hill. So I don't know if NUMB are really well prepared to receive a push like this.
This, to me, looks like exactly how NUMB set up the last time we saw them on Himmelsdorf. Looks very, very similar. They just haven't done that push down the western side as of yet, where we saw Fresh Meat actually do a little bit of damage along with the rest of his team with OneBlood last time we saw them. So for me, this is almost identical, I suspect. So we'll see if it's actually going to pay off for it this time around, because last time it certainly did not.
All right, first spot's coming out here for Pratrium. It's just Vindicare being spotted there in that T1 as he's working his way down the 3 line there fairly slowly. No other spots being made here. Pratrium actually can't see anything else, though. A shot does go towards the direction of Muller 1199 on that T1 there. He's back on that 1 line. Just quite wide here, so yeah. A little bit of damage coming towards him. Just spray, really, at this stage from Vindicare. He's just trying to take down that opposing T1.
A little bit of damage going to go out. We will lose the spot, however. Joke here, just starting to push down slowly, along with Furbex, both in those 5100s. Just gaining a little bit of ground, but they're not going to go any further. They're holding back. They're waiting to see what Team Pratrium is going to do. Going to spot that T1 again, but not going to take the bait, I don't think. Maybe Vindicare is going to fire off a couple of shots, but I suspect that will probably be it. So we're just waiting to see what Team Pratrium's going to do. Oh, there we go. Nice shot. 1 hit, 1 kill. Coming out of Joke. Going to destroy Muller in that T1. And looks like NUMB are going to take the T1 lead.
Yeah, at one point it looked like Pratrium were actually going to push over the hill towards the base of NUMB, but they just didn't have the information, so they actually turned back, and now they've come back to base. They do know that there is a 5100 up around the 1-2 line after seeing Joke take down Muller 1199, so they brought the 5100s back here, but you know, whether they sit on cap or not remains to be seen here. They're sending Mafty across on that IS-3 as well. So everyone is moving towards the western side of the map. They're setting up to receive a push here from NUMB, but they don't have much more information than the kill from Joke. So they actually don't know where NUMB are positioned yet. They haven't spotted anyone this game with, I think, except Vindicare. So, you know, it's quite a big commitment here of resources. Pratrium putting all their stuff towards that western side of the map, and they're just sitting and they're going to wait to receive the push of NUMB.
Yeah, and NUMB feels like it's time to start making a move. It's the same move they made last time. They're going to head down this western side of the map. We've moved all our heavies across. The only tank we have on the eastern side of the map is that T1 out there in that E7 area. So slowly making their way through. The 5100s going to sit back a little bit and let the IS3s do the spotting for them. Obviously, that making a little bit of sense. But we still haven't gone any further than that CD line. As we see, was that a shot coming out? Did it perhaps miss? I may have missed that one. You would probably have a better idea than me.
Yeah, it was a shot that missed. So I think it was just a blind shot straight down at the 3 line. Just trying to catch a tank unaware. And that's fairly standard. You do have those spots where you just try and throw shots down if you're in an IS-3 or something like that, and you can sort of afford to, to waste essentially those shells. We've got the push coming here on a completely different line. Potentially a Pseudo Giant is leading the way here for NUMB. We can see now on the other side Vindicare as well. Verbex coming down here is the push that's coming from the train lines as well. Pratrium were ready to receive this one though, so the first shot going out towards Verbex. Verbex taking 2 shots, taking 3 shots down to 463, taking 4 shots down to 173. He's going to get nuked pretty much straight away. DMX Diamond picks up that first kill. No response here from NUMB yet. There we go. Joke going down as well to about 1,082 I think it was. So he goes quite low here, and Pratrium were quite happy to sit there. They've done very, very well to set up, and they've just completely nuked Furbeck straight away. Ajax wants to come forward. He's taking shots across his Machiavelli costs one from Yashishi as well as he comes across the field. Ajax trying to push in here to Yashishi, but they mind that tank as well on that IS-3. Trying to put some shots over as well. Not much damage being done from the side of NUMB here, and Yashishi picks up Ajax. It's IS-3 down now for NUMB. Joke getting deleted. His health is falling there down to 526. Mind the tank on just over 1,000. Prince Machiavelli coming up behind Yashishi now on that 679. NUMB are all over the shop.
Looks like we may have lost Uber there for just a second, and Mafty Navels here actually going to run into the side of this AMX 5100. The IS-3 got a rear end shot here. We did see NUMB. They poked through with their IS-3s, and it probably did not seem like the best idea, and it certainly has not played out very well for them right now, as Team Pratrium going to absolutely envelop the team. Uber, we can hear you now. It's great to have you back, and not very great a game here from NUMB. Mind that tank even going to find himself stuck in this corner, and that is going to be GG. Team Pratrium going to pick that one up.
Yeah, sorry about that. I don't know what happened there. I think that pretty much spoke for itself there, Sam. And Pratrium set up really, really well to receive that push, and the NUMB guys just got hammered as they tried to cross.
Yeah, they really did. The IS-3s going in unsupported, up against 2 more IS-3s and at least one 5100. Even Sandman, a team of Sandmans would have probably thought that was not the ideal situation. So we will see that very first game going to go out to Team Pratrium. What does the scoreboard tell us, Uber?
Well, I mean, it's pretty straightforward as you have a look over at this. We probably missed a lot of what I was saying, like a bit of a random disconnect there, but you can see NUMB there just really struggling to put enough damage down, in terms of their whole team. You see, Mind that tank did a good amount, and so did Prince Machiavelli, but the rest of NUMB was pretty sad, to be honest. Joke with 625, Ajax doing 400, that's 1 shot's worth. Furbex with 294, that's also 1 shot's worth. So, I mean, when you've got 2 of your tier 8s only having really 1 shot's worth of damage respectively, it's not really good enough. I mean, the lowest damage tank on the side of Pratrium was Mafty, and he did 1,040 damage there. So, a lot of damage being done over them. It's fairly standard work there, and that's why you send 5100s up to the hill, by the way, and they sort of, sniffed around a little bit at the top of the hill and tried to find, I guess, a chance to push in off that hill, and they didn't. They came back. They knew that you know, NUMB was still going to push. They didn't camp that at all. They just set up really, really well, and NUMB were completely outclassed.
They really were, and it's a little bit unfortunate. We have seen them use that, for me, what was a similar strat 2 games in a row here on Himmelsdorf, and both times it hasn't played out well for them, and both times they've been caught in that exact same western mid-range area of the map, getting drawn in by a team who's taken out the middle of the map and getting carved up as they've done that. So we'll see whether they use that next time around. I'm not sure if that is the best strat in the world. Perhaps they just need to practice it out a little bit. So we will move into map 2 in this best of 5, which is going to be Ruinberg. And NUMB's going to get the pick of the sides. And we'll see what tanks they're going to come out with here. Have they gone into... yep, they have gone into tank select by the looks of it. And we've pretty much underway here, I suspect.
Yeah, pretty much. Tank picks are underway, and it's a South Swan pick from NUMB there, which is fairly, pretty well to be expected, if I'm honest here, in tank picks now as well to follow. 2 5100s being picked up for both sides there. So again, you know, fairly standard. You often go for that cookie cutter double 5100 IS3 1390. So you might take 2 IS3s on this map, or you may, in some cases, opt for an extra 5100. But it's not really, conducive, I guess, to being able to sustain through a lot of damage. It's probably more of a all-purpose lineup to take the 2 IS3s, but it really depends on how you play it now. And NUMB, I mean, they didn't really fire too many shots last time they played this map, obviously against 1 Blood. They just made a good push for the cap there and just cleaned them up. But I think this time Pratrium are going to be a little bit more dynamic in their movements, and I think they'll be a little bit more careful without just leaving their capture on its own. So we're seeing now IS3 and 1390 being picked up for NUMB. Pretty much, yeah, another IS3 also. 2 IS3s for NUMB. Yeah, fairly safe, fairly standard lineup. It's all purpose, and it's you know, not only can it take a bit of damage, but it can do plenty as well. It's got the burst potential for the 5100s there, and it's supplemented as well by the hardiness of those IS3s with the sustained damage they bring as well, and yeah, the 1390 as well.
I wonder if Team Pratrium were actually watching that last cast whilst they were playing their own semi-final match. Perhaps they're not aware of the awesome NUMB rush down and capture that we did see out of them last time around, as you said. So it looks like we're pretty much done here for tank selection. I think we're just waiting for one person to jump back in, perhaps, or is he already in? I'm not 100%, but we will be getting this underway very, very shortly. This is Ruinberg. It's game 2. Is the MOL Cyber Gamer Asia Open ladder. It is our grand final here tonight. We have already had our semis. We did see 1 Blood go up against NUMB. NUMB picked up, obviously, that best of 5 coming through to the grand final up against Team Pratrium. And the winner of this match will be picking up 35,000 World of Tank gold from MOL Australia. And the run-up's going to pick up 21,000. So whether you come first or second, you've already made your way through to a hefty amount of gold here. And as we've said a number of times so far tonight, don't forget to jump in there and grab your 24 hours World of Tank Premium. Thanks to MOL Australia. And the link for that will be up when we do jump into the game. You'll see it down there on the screen. It is easy enough to find. And I think it's like mol.com.au/worldoftanks/WOT, something like that. It's pretty simple. You will see it. And we are almost ready to go here. I think we're pretty much set.
All right, yeah, I think we are ready to go here. And this map 2 now is one that NUMB are going to have to think about a little bit more. They really were just caught sleeping at the wheel in that last game, and they walked into so much damage. It really just got cut off at the knees very, very early on. So I think we're waiting for Horse of the Apocalypse from NUMB to join us here. I think that is the plan anyway, but the tank picks still stand though. I think no, it looks like Horse isn't coming. I think we'll keep Pseudo Giant here in the lineup. So tank picks are pretty much completed, and yeah, both teams going for a double 5100, 1390, double IS3, I think. Yep. So yeah, both again going for that standard stuff, not giving anything away. They're not sort of picking up and Pershing and then making it obvious that they're going towards the field or anything like that. So you can't really read too much into the strategy of either of these two teams, I guess, before the map starts. You really just have to wait and see and try and gather information with your T1s, and that 39 is really, really crucial on this map because it's so flexible, and you send him into the field, you send him up on the road ridge line, try and get some spots down, and that's usually enough to tell you approximately what half of the map your enemy's going to be in at least. So that's the idea. We'll see them go head to head up there, and hopefully enough information is gained for these teams so they can actually make a clever and informed decision. Now I'm rolling out with the guys from Pratrium. You've got NUMB.
I do have NUMB, and NUMB are in this southern spawn position, which is exactly where we saw them in, again, in that last best of 5, when they made that awesome rush down the western side and picked up a very, very fast capture. We'll see whether they're going to play that one out again. We will certainly, however, see all of the heavies pushing their way through into this into the town area on those G and H lines. Are they going to jump across and try? They will get out actually 3 spots here, and that T1 there down on that F line, making all the difference. Certainly getting his value worth, spotting that perhaps Team Pratrium are doing what One Blood did last game and going down that 0 line. Uber.
Yeah, they obviously weren't paying attention to what NUMB did last time. They're Pratrium now sending all their forces up here onto the high road and not actually leaving much back at all. Just the T1. This is the same mistake that One Blood made, and we did see Polly and Bucket go head to head there, or Furbex, should I say? Furbex actually, got some good spots there. Polly only saw Furbex there. So right now, this is quite a commitment. Okay, if you're Pratrium, you're putting so many tanks here. They're already moved up to E0, so they are well and truly in that cluster of houses. Now, if NUMB were to push the cap from town, they could get onto this cap. In fact, they wouldn't even be able to be shot at right now.
Well, they're pretty much ready to go. I think they're just waiting to see whether Pratrium are going to head through, and pose a risk as they do head through that, that street that heads from F1 out to F6 there, down that sort of angled street that heads out there. They will send the 1390 and the T1 of Pseudogiant are starting to push forward, but we're not seeing that extensive push that we saw last time around, that really rush push and rush capture that won the game up against One Blood. So a couple of shots coming out, no damage going out, a lot of pings actually coming out from NUMB here, and it looks like we might be rotating around to the E and E1 E2 area so that we can perhaps do a push and more safely take that capture. But will it be quick enough, Uber? Calling Uber. I think Uber may have just jumped out on us there for a second. So there we are. I can hear you now. He's breathing. You good?
Yeah. No, a bit of interesting internet situations tonight. That's all right. Hopefully it's not too intermittent here. But you can see now Pratrium have turned back around. They saw the light tank was spotted around C3, and they just sort of turned tail and heading in that direction. I don't know if they'll get there in time. It's a shame. It's a shame that NUMB didn't actually push onto the cap in this game the same way as they did against One Blood, because it actually would have worked out really well for them. Now Pratrium have enough time to rotate back. They're going to sit on their cap. And this is it's no harm, no foul for them. Even though they kind of made a potentially critical error by pushing so much of their force over onto the road, now I guess they just, they swing back and they're fine. So, interesting. But, they're just going to sit now on this cap. We can see Mebic and Mafty sitting at about, B6, B7, and they're going to wait for a push again from NUMB.
Well, NUMB, really lost their opportunity here. They had all their main tanks, all the tanks except the T1s ready to go, but they decided that it wasn't. They only had the information of that one heavy tank. We will be sending out Furbex here in this 1390, and he's going to head all the way up to C1 here and see if he can spot anyone out on that capture point. But nothing coming out at the moment. I think Pseudogiant is going to try and see if he can spot someone as well. Wow, Plateau is going to go down from Furbex there, and there was no spot out. So I assume that was from either a spot earlier or he just had a bit of ESP going on, because that was very nice work from him as he rolls back towards his team.
I'm just going to sit on this. We'll be happy to wait, and we can see that they've set Recorder to sit up, on
Uber going to capture. There we are, back again.
Yes.
Love it.
I don't know what's going on. I actually don't think I'm not sure if it's me or not, or TS, but we'll soldier on nonetheless. The point I was trying to make is that, the T1 being lost for Pratrium isn't a huge deal, because they've got a good canvas here over this upper right quadrant of the map, and they're just going to sit tight and just wait for NUMB to push. NUMB had their opportunity, and and now they have to be a little bit more careful about the way they approach this.
Yeah, they do have to be careful, and they do have to play this very, very smartly. We are 5 minutes down, 5 minutes left to go. NUMB are quite a bit spread out here. We do have 2 tanks down in that F1 zone. We have obviously taken out 1 T1, I believe we did, of Plateau there. That was Furbex a little bit earlier on, I believe. And we're just holding back. I think NUMB just want to grab a couple of spots. They're still, I believe, committed to grab this capture here, Uber. But they're just trying to get 1 or 2 more picks, perhaps, so they can get this advantage before they push in.
Yeah, I think so. Well, they can't. They don't have enough information really to go on at this stage. Pushing in here would be really, really dangerous for them right now. And there's no way that we're going to see that. But the question is, are they going to be happy with a draw here? They don't have an 8 tier point advantage, which I think is actually what they need in this case. So, they had to do something here, and it's probably going to involve pushing towards this cap here, but maybe putting some tanks as well wide at the outer side of the city. But the issue with that is that Pratrium have their 5100 sitting at A7 and A0. So they have good cover of the outside of the city as well. So it's just a really, really solid setup from them. And it's going to be very, very hard for NUMB to sort of break that. I mean, maybe the best thing NUMB could do is maybe try and push field and take them out here. But as you said, Polly is sitting here on his 39. He's sort of up on that ridgeline. So, I understand NUMB need to take the time, but it's need to be very, very careful. But Pratrium have really put up what seems like an unassailable defense here.
Well, we're going to find out right now because NUMB are heading in here. We will see almost all the tanks from NUMB going to come out onto this capture point with Joke just actually going to grab what he thinks is a safe spot on the far southern side of the capture point. Pseudo Giant going to jump in here too, but all these tanks are going to swing around the corner. 2 of the IS-3s and Recorder there with that 5100 going to take him out. Now IS-3 of Joke going to go down. Furbex down on the southern side as well, trying to do a little bit of damage. The capture still coming out here from Pseudo Giant, but so much damage going down here onto NUMB, Uber.
That's right, Furbeck's getting a couple of shots in the rear on towards Mevic. Now he's been caught out by Polly. I said he was sitting there in the middle of the map, so it was kind of hard for anyone to push on the outside of the city. Mafty's going to get tracked down there. We saw Joke drop so very quickly. Polly picks up Furbeck there. That's not a good result at all, and the bounce coming off from Mevic as well. It's going to keep his health pool looking pretty good for the moment. 693, so still got a couple of shots in him. Same with Mafty as well, but the capture is still ticking along. Pseudo Giant is sitting on that cap, but Pratrium, they're cutting NUMB down to the point where they can actually push onto this cap with their tanks, regardless of what NUMB have left, and Mafty's probably thinking about that fairly soon, but he's going to get shot, almost killed by Ajax there if he does go there. We could see Recorder and Polly now coming up for a shot there. Mevic takes one as well. He's going to push around. He knows that Ajax is likely on a reload there, but Ajax will put a shot into Mafty here. Mind that tank is on reload now, but he pokes out for the shot. Very crucial one here to be making that. Ajax gets rid of his clip there, and he's going to get taken down as well. Mind that tank now coming up onto that cap. Mafty's going to go for him as well, though. Nice work, and that's a lot of damage on towards Mind that tank. 4-1-2, and the catcher has been stopped completely. Only 1 tier 8 tank lost for Pratrium again. They're getting completely dominated, the NUMB guys here, as they really tried to push onto that cap, but the defense was far too strong from Pratrium. And this is a Pratrium that we maybe haven't been seeing in the last few weeks, and NUMB just don't have an answer to them right now. Very, very good setup.
Yeah, NUMB made a reasonable play, I suppose, by getting Joke in there, in that IS-3, and then putting the T1 behind him in a sort of defendable position. And which is why I suppose that capture got actually as far as it did. But in the end, exactly what you said would happen, happened, and Team Pratrium realized that they did have a tank advantage, and they could just simply push around the corner. And they did that, and that was the end of the story. So we will wait here for Vindicare in his T1 to get picked up, and that is going to be the end of that. That is going to be game 2, heading out here to Team Pratrium in this best of 5, up against NUMB, who is unfortunately on 0 at the moment. They only need to win 1 more here for Team Pratrium to come through and pick this up, Uber. So we'll head in and have a look at this scoreboard, and we'll see if that tells us anything. But I think that was pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, yeah, there's not a lot of damage being done from NUMB, and only 1 tank of theirs with over 1,000 damage. As a rule of thumb, you want to do at least your health pool's worth of damage. If you can do that, you've done a good job, especially if you're going to die. So As you can see, Pratrium all sort of satisfying that requirement, with the exception of Starman, and Starman was just sitting back there. It was a really good setup because, yeah, as I said, Fairvex was going to try and do the, you know how I said he likes to flank where the main engagement is being made. He will come up behind or up on the side and puts a free damage in there. But Polly was watching that middle road. He was actually sitting up on that kill, waiting for Fairvex to push him. So Pratrium had they had every approach point pretty well covered to that cap side. They had the cap itself, they had the 250-100. It's just like, just did so much damage early on. Joke just got nuked, absolutely nuked. He might have got 1 or 2 shots worth of damage at the most, but he pushed in kind of on his own. I mean, it kind of looked like NUMB came out one at a time. It was Joke pushed onto the cap, and then we saw Mindlet Tank poke out from the side. He was in the side street, and then Ajax came, and there was no real focus fire as well. Like, I think a NUMB were just trying to do whatever damage they could. I think I probably panicked a little bit as well, but it's just really, really well held by Pratrium there. Putting those 250-100s out wide made them kind of hard to hit. I mean, as a NUMB player, you can't just drive out and then just like flick a shot in the direction and hit them. Like, it takes a while to sort of to make that kind of shot, or you're going to miss if you're shooting a BL9. They're not that accurate. So it's very, very well played by Pratt.
All right, so that's game 2. We will be going into game 3 very, very shortly. What we might do is jump into a couple of ads, and we'll come back straight into Tank Select and map number 3 in this best of 5, which I believe will be Cliff. So we'll be back very, very shortly. Alrighty, we are back, ladies and gentlemen, for game number 3 here of the MOL Cybergamer Asia Open Ladder Grand Final between Team Pratrium and NUMB. We have seen 2 games in a row go to Team Pratrium, and we're heading through to Cliff for game number 3, and it's really do or die here for NUMB, isn't it?
Absolutely. I mean, the last 2 games that we've seen have had a similar theme. It's been Pratrium sitting up pretty well. I won't say camping. They're not really, like, they're just sort of being defensive, and I think NUMB could draw those games if they wanted to. I don't know if they want to. I don't think you really want to sort of draw that out too much longer here. So they're trying to find ways and be innovative, to find ways to break through Pratrium's defenses and sort of get on a solid cap, or, scrounge out a significant advantage in terms of tanks. But Pratrium is, I think they're pretty seasoned at doing what they're doing here, and they're making it very, very hard for NUMB to actually scratch them. So it's just clever rotations from Pratrium. You can see, like, at the start of these maps, they're pushing some tanks out. We saw Himmelsland went to the hill on Ruinberg. They went out wide as well, and they just sort of duck back. They say, well, actually, we can defend this. So there needs to be a little bit of a difference in the way that NUMB are approaching these games. So either going to push earlier. I mean, damn, if they did what they did against One Blood, they would have had that. They would have had that. If they just pushed onto the cap on Rubenberg, it would have been game over.
Yeah, They just need some confidence, or what's it? Have they gone up against Pratrium before? Because I've seen, if you go and have a look at the ladder, you'll see that Pratrium has lost, I believe, 2 of 18 games or something so far this season.
Yeah, and one of those was to NUMB, I think, and one of those was to Arndt as well, or something like that. So basically, yeah. So, but the way that they see Pratrium as opposed to One Blood is different. I think it's less respect. I think they know a bit more about One Blood, right? They don't know much about Pratrium. They never scrim against them. They don't even play them sort of on the cyber ladder. So they don't have a lot to go on. And a lot of NUMB strats have changed in the last week or so. Since they played in the Wargaming Gold League, they've had to change things up because it's so easy to get information now on what they do. And, you know, every time we saw Himmelsdorf, they did the same thing. They pushed, you know, 35100s up the hill, and they had the same sort of lineup with their tanks. That, you know, but they've changed their Bruenberg, they've changed their Ensk play as well. So they've changed the way that they approach these maps. But on that note, I'm going to be rolling out with NUMB. On your screen, ladies and gentlemen, you could be seeing One Blood.
We'll be seeing Team Pratrium, I hope, but
Oh, God.
we're close.
Pratrium.
Close. Team Pratrium, One Blood did have their opportunity to be in this grand final, but they unfortunately are playing out the third place match right now. This is your last chance, of course, to grab your free day of Water Tank Premium thanks to MOL Australia. Head on over to mol.com.au/WOT to pick that one up, and we will see an interesting play here with pretty much the entirety of Team Pratrium going to head over into, I suppose, that big hill between 6 and 9 here, and we will get a spot out. We'll stop watching old mate trying to get up the hill as Polly here is going to proxy spot Ajax in 1390 and 1390.
That's fine. Yeah, Ajax here popping up and down. A lot of Pratrium, should I say, not One Blood, are being spotted here. So, you know, it's fairly open book in terms of these team strategies here. We see Joke sitting back as well over on that F3 spot there. So I expect to see the guys from NUMB here with a fairly solid layout. Trying to say, so spit the word out here, and we can see that they'll probably just try and work the hill and get a bit of crossfire going on. That's why Joke has sat back. But it remains to be seen here what Pratrium are doing. We saw them sort of pushing across. I don't know if they'll go around the hill. They're just going to push onto this one. They might. There we go. Recorded goes down to 847. A little bit of damage being done now. And Ajax now being forced to come around the corner and join in as well. Polly probably won't push the hill at this stage. And the first few shots going in favour of NUMB. And that's Recorder going a little bit low. But there we go. Furbex takes a shot there, going down to 882. A little bit of back and forth here. Nothing really to write home about. But, players who thought they were seemingly safe now being forced to relocate.
Yeah, this is a similar placement of tanks to what we saw a couple of weeks back, but they did, the last time we saw that, we did have one of those really peculiar tanks sitting out there on sort of that A5 area, and we don't have that today. So it's a similar sort of strat, but instead we have a tank out there on C7, which is just the T1, and he's just camping it up. So we don't have that heavy fire from behind that we saw last time around on this map.
All right. So at this point, if you're Pratrium as well, you got to decide how you're going to make the push here. If you are at all going to make one, and experience has shown us that they may not. But you've got to. How do you make a push without sort of getting caught in a crossfire here? The trick to Water Tanks esports is really to have more guns pointing at the enemy than you have pointing at you. So what NUMB want to do is actually have, like initial firefight. Oh, Polly got tracked on the top of that hill. He's going to be able to get away with a little bit of damage going towards him. But yeah, the plan is to have tanks that can fire from cover without actually any fear of response, like retribution shots. So if NUMB can create sort of one engagement in the middle and then have Joke off to the side getting free damage, that's how they're going to win this one. That's why they've set up in this way. And you can't quite see it, but they've got a few tanks sort of on their side of the hill, and they've got quite a few over as well on that 3 line as well, using that rock just so that they can have shots from there as well. So sorry about that. Being able to shoot from multiple angles is going to be really important for them here.
We are 6.5 minutes down, so 3.5 minutes through, and that's about 1/3 of the way. Not huge amounts of action coming out. Obviously, we've been fighting around this big hill here, Uber. We've been doing a little bit of dancing around, trying to get some damage out, but no one's been taken out yet, and it looks to me like Pratrium are pretty happy staying where they are right now. They don't really want to do too much here. They just want to grab a couple of picks. They want to let NUMB really play that aggressive style. Even the 2 times where NUMB have sort of held back a little bit, they've ended up going aggressive in that second half of the game. Fermex going to get proxy spotted out here by Polly and vice versa. But again, no one... it's about this time that you want to jump out of your tank and throw a satchel charge over the hill, Uber, because that's the only way that any damage is going to go down for the moment.
Oh, I think probably more to the point, you want to open your hatch, get out of the tank, go over and walk up to them and slap them with their handbag at this point. That's how pacifistic, I don't even know that's a word actually, but I'm going to use it anyway. That's how both teams have been playing so far. I don't expect Pratrium to push them at all. That's just not what they do. They're probably going to be happy at taking a draw. Yeah, they're happy to take a draw here, I think. instead of losing this one. That's, I don't know. Is it boring? I don't know. It's kind of boring. I find that boring. But maybe NUMB will go for a push here as well. But in the last 2 times it's happened, it's not worked well. And really, it's a fairly foolproof strategy if you just sort of gain an advantage earlier in the game and you just sit back on it. It's what we used to see sort of in the sort of early days of Water Tanks esports, especially in this region as well. And other regions don't do it so much anymore. It's not really that common, but it still happens. Get an advantage and sit on it. But NUMB are going to want to break the deadlock. I don't know how they're going to do it at this stage, but they need to push. They need to make some. Their strategy isn't set to push though. The way they're set up is actually to receive a push. They're not positioned well to be aggressive here on this map, and they probably weren't intending to be, but as we get under that 5-minute mark here, and usually between sort of 6 and 4 minutes remaining, as when we start to get our biggest movements and some of the more impactful parts of the game, turning points, if you will. But what we're seeing right now is Furbex is trying to rotate through, and for NUMB, just try and get some shots and make some spots as well. But so far, not yielding much.
No, and Team Pratrium really are, as you said. I think it's doing the same thing that NUMB were, ready to receive a push here, and they're just going to camp this up. They've got the position. They are 2 maps up out of 2 so far in this best of 5. And the way that the finals work is you just need to be at more points at a higher map score by the end of the best of 5 than your opponent to win. So it really is down to NUMB at this point to make the most of these next 3 maps and pick all 3 up in a row. They can't. They don't really want any draws. They could pull a draw and then pull 2 wins, and then we will have to replay this map for the 6th map around. But obviously, that's, I don't think, an ideal situation, an ideal scenario. As mine, that tank in his Pershing going to take a little bit of damage, and he's just going to pop back down the hill and try and get out of the way.
Yeah, so we can see Furbex he's actually pushed out around, and he's getting some spots down. Towards cards, and I think in Mebic was sitting there as well, the 2 T69s, and trying to put some shots in their general direction. You can really see NUMB trying to break the deadlock here as well. And I don't want to generalise, but I see this a lot from Australian teams. They're good at doing this. They don't like to sort of sit back, and Australian and New Zealand teams, should I say. But a lot of the time we see them being proactive here, and good on for trying to break the deadlock, but they kind of have to. The onus is on them to do that. They have the disadvantage right now, and Furbex is pushed out towards E3. He got some spots there as well, and what we saw on my screen, but what you guys have been seeing on game, is that the Pratrium are really tucked into that hill. They're really not going to go too far now. Maybe Ajax himself might try and make a play here. Polly just sitting up on the hill, and it's fine. It might be a push here. Ajax coming fairly close to him, but I think it's just to get that proxy again, just to keep him lit and keep him at arm's length.
Yeah, they really need to be careful because, there we go. Shot going to come out from Furbex as he does pull his way back. But as I was going to say, the 8-point rule is applying here, so they need to be very, very careful. It only need to lose one of those tier 8 tanks, and that is going to be the end of it. Pratrium will sort of, hold their ground. It really will be down to NUMB to pull one back. We've only got 2 minutes left, and I suppose NUMB really, really do not want to throw away a tier 8 tank at this point in the game.
No, they don't. Well, they can't afford to, because that's when Pratrium are going to be quite happy to sit back and have that advantage. So, might be a draw at this stage as we tick down now to 1 minute and 40 seconds remaining. We saw that Furbex went to try and make some shots there, but actually copped 2 in response. And one from Recorder as well. I think he was previously spotted by NUMB, so weren't aware. And Furbex actually had his ammo rack damaged, was forced to repair that. Otherwise, we'll be taking them, I think, in the order of 58 seconds to reload. That 39, which is just unacceptable, especially when you're playing in this pressure situations now. So Furbex on that reload, he's still looking for opportunities here to get out, but I don't think NUMB really have the time. It's getting a little bit too late for a capture, I think. Really anything under 2 minutes, and if you're still not pushing, you're probably not going to cap done. See now they're pulling back a little bit, maybe being defensive, just trying to hold on to their tanks. Kind of like Counter-Strike if you're trying to save your gun, that kind of thing. I think they're just trying to back away here and not put themselves in a position where they fall under that 8-tier point threshold.
Yeah, that would be the end of our best of 5 if they were to lose. Just one tank right now, so looks like Pratrium is going to just hold their position. And as you said, I would definitely suspect NUMB going to start pulling away, taking it a little bit defensively, going to regroup, rearm, and get ready for map number 4. And obviously, if they get one more draw, that's going to be the end of it. 2 draws is going to be enough to put NUMB out of this grand final. So I would suspect that if we do see a draw in this round, and we probably will, that Pratrium are even going to be even more inclined, I suppose. Oh no, here we go. We will see Furbex there. What's going on? Massive rush going to come down there.
God.
Oh dear, we will see Joker. He's going to try and take out this Pershing. Joker himself down to about 850 HP. The Pershing got a front on there, and I don't think we lost anyone, did we? I believe that's going to come out. That does say a draw, but we will have to go through to the scorecard to confirm, Uber, and we can confirm that was a draw.
That was a draw, yeah. I had to moan now. I think I saw Furbex spray 2 shots point blank past the T1 there, so that was a bit unfortunate. I think what NUMB tried to do there was just make a push to try and catch a tank that was sort of out sitting on its own and just nuke him real quick and sort of get that sort of tier point advantage there. But they didn't even have a T1 killed either, so there was no tanks destroyed in that map at all, and not too many shots fired either, actually. Now, and we're going to, are we moving on? I think we are moving on to our next map here soon.
We should be moving on to Prokhorovka, I believe, and we will be. So, as the score goes out to, stays 2-0 with 1 draw, teams only need to be ahead on map score by the end of the best of 5. So this means that NUMB needs to win the next 2 maps. They can't have any more draws. If Pratrium pulls out a draw even on this map, that is going to be GG, and they will be declared the winner of this MOL Asia Open ladder here on Cybergamer, and they'll pick up 35,000 gold, which is pretty impressive. I wouldn't mind having that in my World of Tank account, and whatever happens though, the second place team will be picking up 21,000 as well. We also have One Blood and Drop Bears finding it out for 10,500 gold in the 3rd and 4th place match at the moment, and 4th place going to pick up 3,500 for their troubles for participating in the ladder and getting as far as those semi-finals before getting knocked out. So they're just asking in this situation, same as last. So they're just asking in this situation we have had a draw, which team picks the side, and the answer is the same as last time. So we'll be seeing what's going to go on here in Prokhorovka. What do you think? What do you think we're going to see here? What is NUMB's play style on this map, Uber?
Okay, NUMB are probably, as we saw before, they normally push out towards the eastern side. I don't know what side. I think they get to choose sides, so I think they will pick south. We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, I mean, they had south spawn last time up against One Blood. I think they actually lost that one. They did actually. I think it was Blood did really, really well on that one now. So north. NUMB want the north spawn here, so they're going to stay as is. They're going to push. I expect to see them work towards that village here. Is there a distinct advantage being north or south? Not really. There's no geographical features that give you like a huge advantage. I think the position of like the cap can make a slight difference. I know, and obviously the dead spot as well over on the 3-4 line. I think. If it's more accessible for your tanks here, but I don't know what kind of shootout it's going to be. I mean, we saw NUMB sort of go for a fairly heavy autoloader kind of composition last time, but I've seen teams take Pershings and T-32s on this map and use the undulations there to get good hull down spots. So it remains to be seen sort of how the teams want to play this, but we're seeing the 2-1390 pick up here for NUMB. They're grizzling a bit about the speed of these games, I think the boys are, but yeah, I think they're going to go for a bit of a faster composition, more mobility, and I think they're going to be aggressive here. It's hard to hard camp Prokhorovka. You don't have like buildings and stuff to hide behind and sort of to obscure your positioning. So it's probably going to be an all-out firefight here. But the thing is, Pratrium are as good in a head-to-head firefight as they are hard camping, like we've seen in the last few maps here. So they're pretty versatile. They're pretty comfortable. So this time, NUMB are going to want to probably try and pull the rug out from under and not give them a chance to set up and be defensive.
Well, we must admit this is the Asia Open ladder, not the ANZ ladder. So it's good. It's really good for the Australian New Zealand teams to get up against some of these teams from the Greater Asia region, like Team Pratrium, and see the way that they play Uber and how they go about this game. And at the moment, it seems to me like if you go across the season as a whole, Pratrium went very, very well across the season. So I think it's important for these ANZ teams to really come out and start, adapting to how the rest of Asia plays. And I think this is a great opportunity for them to do that. So we're looking at these tank selections here. This is game number 4. NUMB needs to pick up these next 2 games in a row so that we can take it back to Cliff, which we'll play over and over again, Uber, if we have to find our winner. So next 2 games are really, really important here for NUMB. They need to pick both of them up. We have a look. It looks like we are locked in here for our tank selections. Teams are ready. The 2 of us, our casting voices, are ready to go. Game number 4. Let's get into it, guys and girls. I think by the looks of things, I'll be heading out here again with Team Pratrium, and you, Uber, are going to be heading out with the boys from NUMB as we move into Prokhorovka here. I'm in the southern position. You are going to spawn in the north.
That's right. Let's hope we don't have a repeat of the Season 3 Wargaming.net League Europe Finals where we saw Dignitas and Virtus Pro play Abby about 6 times to try and find a winner on that map. Let's hope we move through fairly quickly here. Or if you're a Pratrium fan, you're hoping they take this map away and consequently the titles. So going to be an important map for Pratrium here. NUMB need to hold on. They're going to want to be aggressive, but they've got to be careful because they can be caught sort of off guard here if Pratrium decide to be aggressive as well. If you're NUMB, you're expecting them to sort of camp it up a little bit, but these Prokhorovka, sometimes you just can't do that. So right now, NUMB pushing towards the eastern side of the map as we sort of expected, heading over the train line. They're going to be going for an engagement amongst that village by the looks.
Well, I think that it turns out that we are going to get that said engagement, Uber, because Team Pratrium are doing the exact same thing. They're heading east, they're over the train tracks, and they're heading towards the village, as we did the spot out here on Furbex, and he's 1390 by the T1 of Plateau here, and I don't know if he's going to head back, he's going to run away, which is probably the smart thing to do, because we will see 2 1390s here by Polly and by Recorder actually going to get seen here on this far eastern side, and damage coming out. Recorder going to take the first hit of the game. He's down to about 500 HP. He is in a lot of trouble. First blood going to come out to NUMB here. Huge play from them as they do start to take the advantage in this town here, Uber.
Yeah, good focus fire towards Recorder. Quite a few shots missed there, and Joe copying a fair bit as well there. He's actually been back down, and he doesn't have the repair kit there, so we're just going to have to cop that one sweet now. Dropping down to 439 shots coming out from Furbex as well. He's 893, so fairly healthy, the rest of the Pratrium lineup at this stage. Joke being forced to pull back a bit. He's only 2 shots from death there. Ajax set himself up nicely on that hill, and he's going to go towards Polly, with a bit of damage there. He drops to 648. Good damage coming out here from NUMB in general. They really have got this canvas out nicely. Pseudo Giant taking a bit of damage there as well. Not a lot of focus fire coming out from Pratrium at all here. It's all sort of being spread over the NUMB lineup. You can see they're kind of sharing that damage fairly nicely. Carden going down to 908 here. And mind that tank's actually going to back up on that Persian there. It's gone a little bit lower than he might like. Polly down to 429 now as well. Continue being lit by Ajax on the hill. Ajax doing a ton of damage, providing he can actually connect those shots here. And Starman as well is going to have to drop back slightly. Now we're going to see Mebby come up on that T32. I didn't mention the T32 being picked up here, but it does mean the Pratrium don't really have the capacity for that head-to-head engagement as much as they would have liked there, as Joe picks up plate on that T1 there. So it is a 1390 and a T1 down for Pratrium, and NUMB could keep this one out and take the win if they wanted to, but that's never really been their style. Carter looking very, very low there inside that village as well. He's going to drop soon, Sam, man, down to 423.
Yeah, Pseudo Giant down to about 300 HP. We'll see Polly there at about 200 HP. He just finished reloading. He's got a full lot of shells ready to go on that autoloader, and he starts to make his way up that hill. So he's trying to pull on a flank here. We will see if he can take out any damage from the top of this hill right down that 0 line, as he does start to make his way over the top of the crest of this hill. But no spots. There we go. 1390 of Ajax going to get spotted out, but I'm not sure whether Polly is going to be able to do too much here. Prince Machiavelli getting spotted out as well. Actually, Ajax taking a fair bit of damage, as obviously those bounces going to come out here from that T1. And Buddy doing a pretty, Polly even, doing a reasonable amount of spotting here, as NUMB's starting to take some damage. Polly going down, however.
That's right, Polly drops down, and now Mebic's been forced to turn his head around to have some shots at Ajax there. Ajax pulling back, hoping not to get cleaned up by this T32. You know you're in trouble if you're having to push with your T32 here. Mebic is showing us exactly why there are some cons to the T32, and being caught out in the middle of that village, he drops very, very quickly. Autoloaders make short work of that tank. Now, it's just Starman, last man standing on that T69. He does have a scalp to his name here, but he's not able to put any damage on towards those low health tanks of NUMB. He's going to drop now down towards 623, going super low. Fairwex, in the meantime, going to go for that last T1 as well. Starman getting dropped very, very low. Pseudo doing some damage back as well, but he's going to pull back. He's going to get picked up here. Starman is really just awaiting his demise at this stage. You can see that that tank sort of going to push up as well. I'm going to head into Ajax. Ajax has some pretty shocking games, and then he has some massive games. His positioning on that hill was excellent, and it's kind of textbook. I mean, it's what you'd expect to see on like encounter battle on this game, where the cap circle is actually in the middle of the village, and you've both got to fight over it. You often see tanks go up on that hill and get shots across, and he's done very, very well. A couple of shots missed there, but that's a 1390. I mean, the 90mm Callan on that isn't amazing at long range. It's okay. It's not phenomenal. So to be able to do that kind of damage is really, really good. Good health sharing here by the guys from NUMB. Recorder JP never did any damage, crucially enough. Ajax with 2k to his name. It's another 2k plus game from him. 14 shots fired, 11 direct hits, so reasonable accuracy rate as well. I don't know. It looks like Pratrium struggle a little bit with those head-to-head encounters. I can see why they may be a little bit more comfortable with allowing teams to push into them, because when they've been in that kind of situation, the focus fire was really, really poor. You saw NUMB, like all of their tanks were below 400 health, and they actually didn't lose any tier 8s, despite how much fighting was being done.
Yeah, we did see, I think, a pseudo giant in that T69 was down a fair bit by the end of the battle, and he just pulled himself back, and really they just took advantage. They took control of that. The only time it looked maybe like Pratrium were going to pull something out of the hat was when we saw Polly head up there in his 1390. He did about a K damage, but as we saw, only one kill going to come out from the entirety of Team Pratrium, and that was on the T1 of Prince Machiavelli. So, Uber, that was a pretty impressive play there from NUMB. As you did say, it's quite an open map, and it really doesn't lend itself to sort of a campy, defendable position. So we're going to head on through to the very last map in this best of 5, and it is our absolute favourite, or my absolute favourite anyway, and that is going to be mine. So we'll have a look. We'll see where we are at here. I don't know if we've selected sides or not as of yet. I think the teams are just taking a little bit of a breather here because that was such an immense game, such a surprising game. I'm sure that Pratrium are taking a step back and discussing how they're going to play out this 5th map on Mines.
Yeah, that's right. Going to be moving on to it's not out of, well, it could be out of sighting map, but if this one goes in NUMB's favour, then they have to replay that cliff map as well. And let's hope that Pratrium are maybe a little bit more making a bit more effort to make some plays there. I think it was good that we saw on Pohorovka there from them. Did really work because they took a T32 and put him in the village. So if you take a T32 on Proc, and I'll just maybe elucidate on this a little bit more. You don't really want to send him to the eastern side of the map. You make it pretty obvious that you want to put him on the west. You put him in a dead spot or some undulations. The east side is actually fairly open unless you stick him on a hill. And a T32 is not great at firing from the top of a hill because his hull is revealed. You want to be you want to be obscuring that hull, so you want to be sort of firing over a small ridge, and that's that hill on Proc is more than a small ridge, so not really suitable there. So NUMB kind of read that fairly well. Now we are getting some side picks here, and it's going to be Pratrium, in the northern side. And tank picks are well and truly underway. A WZ132 being picked up here, interestingly enough, here from Pratrium there. So that tier 8 Chinese light tank being valued by them in the game.
This will be interesting. We haven't seen Pratrium on Mines, I don't believe, so far this season. We have seen NUMB play on this map a number of times, and they've changed it up every time we've seen them play. So this will be a super interesting game. I can also let everyone know that One Blood did take out Drop Bears 3-0 in that 3rd and 4th place match. So well done to One Blood. They almost made their way through to this grand final, but they're not going to be disappointed with about 10,500 gold there. I certainly would not be disappointed with that much World of Tank gold thanks to MOL Australia. So as you said, we are into our tank selection. We picked our sides. I think Pratrium, did you say, are going to get spawned in the northern part, and NUMB are going to spawn in the southern?
Yes, that's right.
All right. So
Got some. I think this is really interesting, actually, that we're seeing the WZ be picked up here because it's not really like a popular one in the past. But it's a really, really good tank. The only problem with the WZ is it can't be at a 3090 head-to-head. And if you can't do that, like, you're going to have a bad time. But it's the most maneuverable tank in the game, up there. Definitely one of the best light tanks, that's for sure. Especially at tier 8. It's amazing at firing on the run. It's got really, really good camo value as well, which is actually really important. Can also got really good turret traverse. So while you're moving, if you're sort of circling around an enemy tank, you can put the hurt on him as well. And he actually it can be a bit bouncy. Like the front armor of the WZ is actually sloped, so definitely a little bit more durable than 1390 in that situation. There's a couple of problems with the gun depression's pretty average. It doesn't have great acceleration. It has a good top speed, mind you, but a little bit of a while to get moving. But probably the big problem here is it doesn't have an autoloader. That's half the reason why it hasn't been picked in the past. But now looking over the rest of the picks here as well, you can see what the teams are going for here. So a T-32 and a Pershing being picked up for the guys from NUMB again. So they're probably going to play a bit more of another sit-back game like they did against One Blood.
Yeah, well, we'll see how this plays out. We're almost through this tank selection. The team's just discussing the aspects of the map, of the best of 5 matchup and what they need to do to actually win here. Play just saying, we a camp team, you say. Yeah, well, we'll see whether that works out for them this time, or perhaps they're going to pull out something ridiculous and absolutely do something that we have not expected from them so far. But I suppose they are ahead. They've got the map advantage. They're going into mines, and they're in the northern spawn. So we'll see whether that forces them to take that hill from the north, as we see most teams attempt to do from the northern spawn, or whether they're going to play it out a little bit differently, perhaps through the island or through the town on that far eastern side. So how are we going here? I think almost finished that tank selection. Have we? Did you say we were chasing just one more tank? Is that right, Uber?
Yeah, tank selection's finished. I'm not really impressed with it. So the guys from NUMB are taking double 1390, 5100, Pershing 232. So fairly standard lineup for a hilly map. Pratrium have 4 IS3s.
So
Yeah.
is that saying that they're not going to be rushing that center area?
It might shock you guys, and it might also shock our viewers. It's possible that Pratrium actually won't even touch the W keys in this game. I'm not really sure. They'll set up for something defensive. I'm going to be able to. I'm going to have the distinct pleasure of presiding over their rollout here. But NUMB is going to be on your screens, ladies and gentlemen, and we're going to be getting this game underway very, very shortly. Game 5. If it does go to a draw or Pratrium win, it's going to be their series. However, if NUMB manage to win it, we're going to be going back to Cliff.
We will indeed. So from my end, I want to see that final map of Cliff be played until we do have a 3-map winner. But certainly Pratrium have played some very, very good tanking so far in this tournament. And if they can pull out a draw here, then I suspect they probably do deserve a win. So we will see the 1390s of NUMB from Joke and Furbeck's going to push towards this middle area. They're going to jump up, and they are going to take... Well, there we go. There's a little bit of camping coming on, but not before the 132 of Mafty Navels here. He has pushed all the way through, and NUMB aren't going to be able to take this hill, Uber.
They're not camping at all. Pratrium, I think, trying to be ironic here, and they're just going to push over with IS-3s, and it's going to be a very, very hard thing to deal with here because they got good health pools, good damage, and there's 4 of the freaking tanks here. We can see that Joke now having to back away, Vindicare pulling off as well, so it's going to be 4 IS-3s taking the hill. This could be a bad decision, I think, if you're a strategist for Pratrium here, because they're kind of trapped, and they can't really rotate off the hill well, so a cap attempt here from NUMB could go quite well, but this is really interesting. I think Pratrium may be a little bit offended that NUMB thought that they were going to camp this one out. They're probably offended that we thought they were going to camp it out as well. They've gone straight towards the hill here, and while we have no casualties yet, Pratrium clearly trying to make some shots.
Yeah, they're pulling something out of the hat here. They picked those IS-3s, and they rushed on through, taking that middle hill section with not much. We saw the 1390s make their way up, but as we did see, Joke very much running away very, very quickly there. He was out of there. He had enough. So we have Vindicare here in this T-32. He's down to 1335 life, just too short of that elite life there. And the rest of NUMB has really started to spread themselves out. We can see Pseudo Giant and the 1390 of Joke on the far western side. As Shot's actually going to come out here, I think, heading out towards Joke, but he's going to try and jump across here. I think he may be okay. He probably get across, and we will also see the Pershing over here on the far right hand side, and the T1, and then the 1390 and the 5100 just holding back here for NUMB. So they picked a more aggressive lineup, and they've been forced, I suppose, Uber, to pull back here with all those IS3s sitting in the middle of the map.
Yeah, well, they flipped. I think they freaked out pretty badly upon seeing what Pratrium were trying to do here. But this is what happens there. Pratrium kind of forced to stay on the hill a little bit. I mean, they roll off. They all have to roll off the same side and sort of stay together so they can still bring all their guns to bear. But NUMB will try and outmaneuver here. They've got maneuverability, and Pratrium, Pratrium is sitting up on this hill prouder than a honeymooner's junk swinging out the window. They are just pretty much taunting NUMB to sort of come right the heck at them. And at this stage, NUMB don't want any of that because they have a 32 and a Pershing, and they have their two 39s. They don't have a head-to-head sort of team. So NUMB being forced here to really think about what they're going to do. I think they should be maybe trying to sort of just spread out here a little bit and maybe make a push for the base and put these IS3s in an awkward spot. They're going to have to set up some sort of crossfire. It's the only way they're going to beat such big tanks head-to-head.
We'll see if they're going to pull this one off. We have seen a few shots coming from the west, from, I assume it was Joke there in that 1390. The Pershing here actually just starting to push forward as well. I think perhaps trying to get a proxy spot up here, one of these IS3s. There we go, a nice little proxy spot. We will see Mebic and Starman both in those IS3s. Mebic down to 990 HP, and Yashishi as well. He's going to get spotted out. I'm not sure if that was where that came from, but we do have a little bit more knowledge here for NUMB on what is going to happen, and that makes mind that tank decide. He is definitely going to mind his tank, and he pulls back a little bit. Doesn't want to confront those IS3s head-to-head here, Uber. I think they're just holding this out. We're about 5 minutes, 40 seconds from the end. We're almost halfway through. We'll see whether NUMB are going to pull out something interesting here. I think perhaps making a play down this left-hand side.
Oh, it's not a bad idea, I think. Here's the thing, right? You're dealing with 4 IS3s, so if their rolls are good enough, they can nuke a 5100 in seconds. If these IS3s get all their shots onto the 5100 and nuke them straight away, they're probably going to win because, the T-32 Pershing, I mean, there's not really much firepower they're going up against. However, if the guys from NUMB can stretch it out a little bit and stay safe, they're going to be fine. The take-home right now for NUMB, or, well, not really take-home, but the saving grace for them right now is that Pratrium really don't have the capacity to sort of get a good read on what NUMB are doing. All they can really do is get Mebic to, scooch his butt up that hill and get a proxy spot towards mine that tank. And he can probably just stay there and even just sort of be a decoy and maybe lull Pratrium into thinking that NUMB aren't trying to make any serious moves right now. For what I can see on the screen, like I can't see any of NUMB's movements at all except for mine that tank. But we're running out of time, getting to that 4-minute mark, and that is generally when things start to go down. So especially if you're a Wargaming League Asia caster, that's pretty much when everything happens in the game. But at this stage, NUMB going to make a move. IS3s are pretty quick for heavy tanks now. Prince Machiavelli going out for the proxy spot. He's going to get lead himself now. And NUMB just continuing to gain that information. Yeah,
they're getting out some spots, but no shots are able to come out here from these 1390s. We do have Furbex and Joke over here on the island in that F1 position. Joke just here trying to pull himself up a little bit. We'll see. I think the Pershing and is it a T1 down there as well, as you said. Yeah, just trying to grab some proxy spots. And they can see 2 IS3s, and the same 2 IS3s that we've been seeing for the majority of this game, Uber. So I'm not sure whether NUMB are going to try and play out. They could certainly run these 1390s down, but I suspect they would probably want a little bit more support, perhaps from the 5100s as well at the same time. So we'll see if that's going to happen. Furbex and Joke are going to make their way. They're going forward here, Uber. They're heading over the island. They're trying to grab through. They're going to stop in the E line, however. So not as of yet. We're not moving these 5100s. We're not really doing anything, but just gaining a little bit of ground, a little bit at time, perhaps trying to get a pick. I'm not sure. We got a lot of pings coming out but not much is going down.
You know what? This has been really, really good from Pratrium, and I mean, it's not camping in the traditional sense of the term. I think they did this on purpose, just to sort of maybe show NUMB. But it's pretty hard to like break this. There's like a castle of IS-3 sitting on a hill, and they aren't really worried about getting capped out. They can roll off reasonably fast, and now we can see the spot here. We can see that Pseudo Giant trying to push forward here and maybe make his way towards the cap. He should get eaten up here though in just seconds, and he does. You're going to see him drop down now without really getting any damage done himself. 21 health, and we might see Mafty have a bit of a shot at him as well. He should be able to pick him up from across the map there. So you know, NUMB. They really need to do something. Pratrium are putting them in a position where they have to kind of work something out on the fly. They kind of have to come up with a strat here, because this is not really what you expect. And on paper, NUMB don't have as strong a lineup head to head. 4 IS-3s it's pretty cheese, man. It's pretty cheese to do this. I mean, it's amusing. I think it's fairly clever actually, considering that NUMB would have expected them to camp this one. If NUMB got a bit of damage towards me because they pushed the hill with those IS-3s. They probably need a little bit more damage in the first sort of engagement to really be in a position where they can take this now. But yeah, I mean, this is the final map, and you know, all we can really see right now is you know, the Pratrium guys are just sitting tight on that hill. We're running out of time if you're NUMB.
Yeah, well, NUMB look like they might be making a move. We did see a shot, I believe, from one of the 1390s heading out onto that T1 of Muller over in that sort of defendable position of their capture point. We have brought up one of the 5100s. We do have Ajax in his 5100, and he's going to make away. Actually, Joke is going to swing around. I think he's going to try and take out this T1 and see if they can force something here. I'm not sure if he's just going to go for the capture, grab the T1, get a capture, and then force those IS-3s to come back. I think this may be the play. That T1 does go down. Joke actually going to swing back around. He hasn't gone for the capture yet. No one else from NUMB is moving up. They're holding positions. I'm not sure if they're trying to bait out a move here from the IS-3s up on the hill, or whether they're preparing to take this capture. We will see the 1390 come through this western side, as well as Joke does start to take the capture. He's going to push through. He's trying to get to the other side. He starts the capture to bait it out, and he does get hit down to about 670 HP here, coming out from Mafty Navels in that 132. Another 1390 from Furbex, as we said, has moved up, and he was just on that capture point, but they're in a little bit of a peculiar position here. Even that T1 of plate just going to do a little bit of damage and actually going to track him here, Uber. What's going on from your side?
Well, NUMB are getting crushed, pure and simple. They can't push on to the hill to get their 8 tier point advantage. There's no way they can do that. And Vindicator got a couple shot in the side. Vindicator's going to get nuked if he's not careful. I think NUMB are a bit over it, Sam, man. I don't really know if they have much they can really do here. Minor Tank's going to get... Oh, this is going to get ugly in a second. Yeah, that's a lot of damage being done. And there's no need for the focus fire there, I guess. But that's a draw. And you know what that means, Sam, man.
We do know what that means. That is the end of the game. They weren't able to pull out the capture. They didn't go for the capture soon enough, I suppose. I don't know if it was really a play for NUMB in that, but it certainly would have perhaps worked out better than pulling out the draw. So a draw does mean that with Team Pratrium being up 2-1 in this best of 5, we have now played all 5 maps that the teams did select, and that means that Team Pratrium is going to pick up first place here. They're going to take 35,000 gold, and NUMB are going to pick up 21,000 gold, all thanks to MOL Australia. Do you want to go through how that played out, Uber, or do you think that we'll just leave it be?
Oh, I think there's not heaps to say there. I think, you know, Pratrium had the advantage. Like, they did all the work in the first few games. They got, you know, they got that lead. They played very, very well on the Bruenberg game. They're just solid. They're just solid. You know, they don't have to do, like, they don't have to do anything. Like, that's fine. It's okay. I'm not gonna say that they shouldn't have camped this, because they played it correctly. I mean, some leagues may have sort of passive play rules and that kind of stuff, but they just sat, they waited. It was very, very well played by them. They were solid, but I think Pratrium's weaknesses, and it was exposed a little bit earlier on, that they can't hand themselves in a firefight, but you cannot push into 4 IS-3s with the lineup that NUMB had. Like, you just can't do it. So it was quite funny. They just pushed onto that hill. And that's a good idea because it's the most defensible part of the map. I mean, you could put some IS-3s on the hill behind your cattle. That would be pretty gross. It is defensible because you have to literally drive up the hill to shoot these tanks. And Mafty, in that WZ, could just reset the cap. We saw Joke and Pseudo Giant were sort of moving across there. I think it was those two anyway. Fairvex as well. And they're just getting hammered. So much damage coming out from Mafty as well. So, perhaps maybe not the most interesting game that we've ever seen, but it was played well, and you've got to really hand it to the guys from Pratrium there. They are, victors of this first season of the MOL Cybergamer Asian Open ladder. Very, very well done to them.
Yeah, they did. They came through. To be fair, they've been playing all season, and we haven't captured very many of their games, but they obviously have been playing really quite well here, because they've come through with a very, very good scorecard, I suppose. And I'll just see if I can drop this client, and we can have a look here. We will see, and I just should be able to jump out and jump back in, and there we go. We will see the final scores for this finals top 8 bracket. So, Team Pratrium, obviously they picked up the forfeit win against Shells to You in their round 1. They really did roll Drop Bears, obviously 3-0 there in their semi-final, and they picked up NUMB here in the grand final 2-1. But all season they played well. They've obviously picked the right opponents. They've won their games, and sure, teams can say we may not find their playstyle enjoyable, but at the end of the day, you're sitting there in tanks trying to hold a position, and if you do that better, then you're probably going to come out the victor, Uber.
Absolutely. And look, to be honest, Pratrium sat solid at the top of their ladder for pretty much the whole season. So, they did very, very well there, and they won, a huge amount of their games there. So, hailing from Japan, our first season victors, Team Pratrium, congrats to them, really did very well. And commiserations to NUMB as well. I think it's a real test of a team's skill to try and break something like that. You really have to, it's not standard, okay? And NUMB have sort of been playing some of the same teams and some same lineups, the same context the last few weeks here. And when Pratrium throw a spanner in the works like that, it's tough to find a way to break it. You've really got to bait. People out. That's the problem. The IS3s hurt, man. They really hurt. And it's very, very hard to sort of break anything like that as well. They couldn't put themselves in a position. They couldn't get caught out. If they got caught out, an IS3 is just going to punish you so much, and they can. They can always flex through and sort of go and defend a capture or anything like that. So it was a good idea, the 1390s, pushing onto the cap, but they couldn't bait the IS3s off the hill because Mafty was there and he was doing damage. Just really, really well done. That's probably all I've got to say there. But a great few games to have seen, I think, despite the slower pace of some of them. The technical and tactical approach we've seen from both is really important.
Yeah, it's genuinely been a great ladder to watch, and it's good to see the teams have progressed throughout the season, and some of these teams have come through, like One Blood NUMB, Drop Bears, and obviously Team Pratrium, and they played, some really good tank action, and it's good to see these guys come through on our ladder through, Australia, New Zealand, and Asia, and it's been fantastic. So I just, as we sort of conclude here for the end of this ladder, I believe it's our intention to have another one. We do have the ANZ ladder going at the moment, which isn't that huge, but I hope to come back bigger and better with a new season very, very shortly if all the things come together. Just for this season, massive shout out to MOL Australia, who really have been the driving force behind World of Tanks within Australia, along with Wargaming. And big shout out to them and Buddy, and for the support that they provided, Cybergamer, Team Down TV, and obviously the teams who have been playing in this ladder. As we said, they had 70,000 World of Tank gold going out free of charge, going out to these teams for participating. So that's absolutely huge. Again, you can grab your free 24 hours of World of Tank Premium thanks to MOL. I think it's mol.com.au/WOT. I'm sure we can get that down in the chat for those of you who haven't grabbed that yet. And obviously, please take advantage of the great deals that they do offer the guys in Australia and New Zealand for different games, including World of Tanks, including a number of different things that you may or may not play. So get involved. It's super awesome from them. Thank you very much, Uma, for your awesome shoutcasting over the last couple of months. Have you got any shouts before we sign off?
No, massive shouts out to everyone who's been joining us as well. A lot of you guys have been following sort of every week. Thank you very much for having you guys for being here. We wouldn't really be able to have this without you guys. Massive shout out to MOL as well. Those guys have they've done a great thing for the World of Tanks Asia scene here. Having this ladder up has been fantastic, and I think you guys all watching should get yourselves into some teams and get involved because the amount of gold is pretty sweet coming out of this one.
Yeah.
Thank your MOL and Cyber Game as well for the chance, obviously, to be part of this. I want to thank you, and as well, massive shouts to the guys at Team Down TV, of course. If you guys don't know, Sandman's been the man running the stream for the entirety of this ladder. He's done a fantastic job. So from me to you, mate, great job. And all you guys, it's been a pleasure, and we hope to be back very soon.
Thank you very much, Uber. That is it. We will, as you said, be back, I hope, very shortly with another World of Tank ladder here in Australia and the greater Asia region, even. Almost got through that without stuffing that up. Thank you very much, Uber. Thanks, guys, and we'll see you next time.